just me, or does it seem like American football originated in America? Actually, the history of American football can be traced to early versions of rugby football and association football, also known as soccer. Football, as well as rugby and soccer, are believed to have descended from the ancient Greek game of harpasting. Harpasting means, and I quote, a very rough and brutal game, unquote. Points were awarded when the player would cross the goal line by either kicking the ball, running with it across the goal line, or throwing it across the line to another player. Next, the other team's objective was to stop them by any means necessary. And thirdly, there were no specific field length, no sideline boundaries, no specific number of players per team, only a glaring lack of rules. The first point I'm going to talk about today is points were awarded when a player would cross a goal line either by kicking the ball, running with it across the goal line, or throwing it across the line to another player. On November 6, 1869, the Rutgers played the first game in London Association Football Rules, or soccer. They established a rule that handling of the ball was allowed when the player was stationary. Running the ball and throwing it was not allowed. The winner was the team who scored six goals first, and the Rutgers won that first match. Both rugby football and association football, or soccer, have their origin in varieties of football played in Britain in the mid-19th century, and in which a football was kicked at the goal or run over a line. In the late 20th century and in the late 19th century and early 20th centuries, college coaches such as Eddie Cochins, Amos Alonzo Stagg, Newt Rockne, and Glenn Pop Warner helped take advantage of the newly introduced forward pass, which brings us to how the teams were able to stop the run. The other team's objective was to stop them by any means possible. Would you believe that the game was so popular in England that the kings of the time, Henry II and Henry IV, actually banned football? They believed that football was taking away interest from the traditional sports of England, such as fencing and archery. This game was so brutal that nearly 180 players had suffered serious injury, and 18 deaths had been reported from the brutal mass plays that had become commonplace. Now, in the 1830s, there was an off-your-side rule that was created to help keep the teams apart. And in 1888, tackling below the waist was allowed. In the 1830s, in 1910, pushing and pulling the ball carrier was forbidden. This led to increased safety of the players. We'll explore that more with the introduction of the rules that caused this. There were no specific sidelines, or no specific field length, no sideline boundaries, no specific number of players per team, and only a glaring lack of rules. In the 1830s, players who were able to touch down the ball behind the opponent's goal were awarded to try a goal kick. The player would make a mark on the goal line and then walk back onto the field where a goal kick could be possible. In the year 1880, Walter Chancey Kemp of Yale's University, was better known as the father of American football, reduced the number of players per team from 15 to 11, consisting of 7 linemen, a quarterback, 2 halfbacks, and 1 fullback. 2 years later, he came up with the downs and yardage rules. In the original game, it was 5 yards and 3 downs. In 1906, the distance was changed to 10 yards, and in 1912, the number of downs was increased from 3 to 4. In 1920, the American Professional Football Association was formed, later changing its name to the NFL. And by 1958, the first NFL championship game would be played. This game would be dubbed the greatest game of all time. The American Football League began playing in 1960, and they merged the 2 leagues, and that created the Super Bowl. So to wrap up, we've got first of all, football as well as rugby and soccer are believed to have descended from the ancient Greek of harpasting, which literally means, and I quote, a very rough and brutal game. Next, points were awarded when a player would cross a goal line by either kicking the ball, running with it across the goal line, or throwing it across the goal to another player. Then, the other team's objective was to stop them by any means necessary. And finally, there were no specific length, no sideline boundaries, and no specific number of players per team, only a glaring lack of rules. Though refinements of the game would continue to the present day, the modern game of American football had arrived, and American football is here to stay.